Okay, now I have some scrolling settings. Um, I guess I have acceleration somewhere maybe, or scroll step. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Emacs does some weird stuff with scrolling sometimes, so these are the options that I like. Yeah, progressive suite. Yeah. And I turn off toolbar, menu bar, scroll bar, and I turn on global visual line mode. Explicit shell file name. What's this? Yeah, I just tell it to use bash, even though I actually use ESH in most of my shells, or most of my terminals. Highlight to-dos. Uh, yeah, so this is what I would replace with an actual highlight to-dos mode. Um, these are the ones I've tried using. To-do, note, bug. This is for like when I'm basically trying to track down a bug. Um, Now this is a little bit annoying. You see that this one has slashes in front of it. That's to prevent um, like debug or things like that from matching. Presumably this is a regular expression, so I could probably write something more reasonable here, but I haven't messed with that. Yeah, and I run this in prog mode and LaTeX mode. Don't open a buffer if visible in another frame. Now I use this. Actually, this goes with what I was saying earlier about compilation mode. So sometimes, of course, I split off compilation mode into its own frame. Maybe I put it on the other monitor. Um, and this is just so that when I hit recompile, it doesn't still try to display it in the same frame. It's like, oh, it's visible in another frame, so I'll just use that one. Okay, now we've got a few more load files. Let's take a quick look into this utils file. Again, lexical binding T. This is my tech thumt command. So this is how I format a LaTeX file. Yeah, so if it's in a tabular environment, it runs like a more specific tab thumt command. Otherwise, it just does this whole thing for the file. This is something I don't really use anymore, but I used to call it pre-compile. So this was a window configuration I really liked to use with Go mode for a while. Basically, I would be in a file, and then it would split it and open my, like file name underscore test.go. So I would have the file open, the matching test file, and then down below I would have the compilation buffer, so like a little compilation buffer. I don't really use that anymore, but I liked it for a while. This is something I was trying to do with recompile, but I don't know. Yeah, I might not use most of these actually, but I'm not sure. So yeah, how to know this? This looks like it's trying to. I think this is trying to. Yeah, it's trying to call this precompile if the buffer is not focused or something like that. This is crazy. I should delete this. I don't use this anymore. My save word. I guess I'm trying to add some kind of binding for saving the word at point. Pre-tech. Yeah, this file could probably be renamed to junk because I do use the tech thumps thing, but not. I don't really use any of this other stuff. Delete other windows. Split horizontally. Yeah, so this kind of stuff is not usually what you want because it only works basically if you start from some specific window configuration. So hopefully this is pretty old stuff that I would never write anymore. Yeah, so this is switch to buffer or find file. I don't think I use this. Obviously, the idea is try to switch to the buffer. If it's not there, find it instead. Program. Yeah, see, delete other windows. So go down to one window, split window, go to the other window, switch that buffer to compilation, shrink the window, go back to the first window, split it horizontally, and then if you're in Go mode, we do this. Otherwise, in Python mode, do this. yeah, you look for test.go. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, but this is crazy. I don't use this anymore. It was a cool idea, I thought at the time, but it just doesn't work very well. Without buff. Yeah, okay, so I'm trying to. This is like trying to run shell commands without opening a buffer. But there's a much easier way to do this that I didn't know about at the time. So yeah, I've got whoa buff, which is basically without buff. This is a macro that uses a macro. I don't know. This is probably from when I was reading too many Lisp books. I was like, all right, it's time to write some macros. Tech toggle input. Yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. So basically, it looks for the next input and it'll just toggle it. It's kind of cool, maybe. Yeah, Zap, Zathura PDF. So this is before I guess I had PDF links. This is for basically opening PDFs interactively. Yeah, Zap L. So this is actually what I used to do before I knew about Octet's like viewing thing, or before I could set Zathura up to be the view program. You would see comments like this at the top of my LaTeX file. It would say like zap main.pdf. That's actually how I used to do it. Yeah, before I figured out how to just set Zathura to my PDF viewer. So that's what these are for. Zap L opens from the library. This opens from downloads. Oh man, we are going deep down the rabbit hole. We'll open this. Okay, so oh man. So this is actually okay, I just tried to open a terminal. Get ready, it's gonna be light. So it's not important though. There's a shell command basically for PDF info, which tries to extract some information from the PDF. Like sometimes they give you the author, the title, maybe an abstract or something like that. So this was part of me trying to automate generating BibTeX entries from PDFs. And I was trying to write it in Emacs. So let's see. It seems useful for checking if it runs a script. Yeah, so I was hoping I could actually run this from outside of Emacs. argv here. Yeah, to do refactoring. To do actually just delete all of this code because it probably doesn't work very well. Yeah, too much work to write PDF info in Lisp. Holy moly, no kidding. So I'm using something from this library. New ref. Yeah, we make this. We saw this on stream, or on the video with Zach the other day. We got anaphoric if from Paulgrams on Lisp. Yeah, definitely was reading too much Lisp at this point. Yep. There's if. Now let's see what I was trying to do with PDF info. So I'm printing at article. You take the PDF name. Okay, then I was concatenating that with this. Running PDF info on this. Split string lines. Okay, I'm parsing the output of PDF info. Yeah, the repetition here is hard to look at. I don't remember what I was talking about. Honestly, this whole thing is hard to look at from my perspective now. Yeah, do list, line split. So we're going for author. If we find this, we plist, put it into ret. Oh, man. This is just awful. This is red because Emacs wants it to be down here. If we find subject, when match, want the line without the thing and the thing without the line. Okay, great. Yeah, this is pretty awful. Yep. And this is probably me testing it. Let standard output be the current buffer. Yeah, this is me trying to test it with output to temp buffer. Would be kind of nice to send to a temp buffer for editing. Yeah, that would definitely be nice. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully you guys don't think less of me after seeing that file. That was a mess. All right. Now I think, yeah, some of my utilities I actually use are probably down here. So no theme. This loops over all the custom enabled themes and disables them all. So yeah, one thing you may notice is if you try to start loading like multiple themes, they actually load on top of each other. So if I try to load this theme, it's actually loading this theme mixed with Tango Dark, which I had before. So I have this no theme thing. Oh yeah, sorry guys. Load theme. Let's go back to Tango Dark. Which helps you restore back to the default. Except when I do no theme, I don't like the default region color, so I do still set this. And I'm actually calling this function here. So this doesn't seem like a very good practice. Yeah, this doesn't seem like a very good practice because I'm like actually calling code from what looks like just a utilities file. This sets the width of the active window to 80 columns, so this can be useful. It's actually pretty close to 80, but for example, if I can just run set 80, and it'll set it to exactly 80. So that can be nice if you're trying to save space. Yeah, then we have some math functions. I actually have a whole other file full of math functions, but yeah, this returns the mean of a list of numbers. So this is helpful if, for example, I'm in my scratch buffer. There are some molecules, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say I paste in some of this stuff, and I just want to get the mean really quickly. Oh, but this is to a list, so apparently I have to do it like this. And you'll see the average is 2. So that's why I have that. So basically I can paste in a big chunk of numbers that I got from somewhere, and then I can compute the average. Oh, see, this one actually works on a rectangle, which is probably more useful. Wait, does that actually work? So that would mean I could do something like this. And it does work. Okay, yeah, that one's cool. I forgot I even had that. Yeah, when you do stuff on rectangles, that is pretty neat. Okay, Techify. I think I use this. Yeah, so clearly I can tell from this pipe symbol that this is for converting an org table probably into LaTeX. Now it'd be nice if I had some kind of documentation here, but I haven't used this in a really long time, I think. Yeah. Techify. Yeah, scale is nice as well. Multiplies a rectangle numbers by scale. Printing the results with prefix argument decimal places. Oh, that's actually not true because it prompts you for the precision. So we can check that here. If we go here, scale, we can scale by, let's do 2, and precision 5. So there, that's pretty handy as well. Yep. Yeah, this rectangle stuff is pretty handy. And round basically calls scale with a scale of 1. Let's try, yeah, round, and we'll do precision 0. Get back to our integers. Very handy. Fetch. Okay, so this is actually file to fetch from woods, and then put it somewhere. Yeah, I don't think I've probably only ever used that like once or twice. But kind of a cool idea. Save to scratch. Yeah, this is nice. For example, maybe if you're doing some kind of benchmarks. Yeah, I think really what I would only ever use this for is I would get some kind of timing information out in the compilation buffer. I would just highlight it and I would run this, save to scratch, and that basically just appends these lines to the scratch buffer. Then I can hop back over there and see how the benchmarks have been improving, for example. This one is actually pretty handy. The last kill with new lines replaced by spaces. So yeah, this is really handy if I go over here. So actually, let's do one like this. So let's say I just want to grab this if you go over back over here and you hit P, it just puts it like straight down. You see? But if I run paste flat, then it will paste it directly in here. So that's really handy if you're working with a rectangle and then you want to paste that rectangle into the middle of something. I do use this one. Check features. Yeah, this I don't really need this anymore. This was when I was working on like some different versions of Emacs, and I wanted to see like, oh, do I have native compilation available? Do I have native JSON available? But now, of course, I do. Tab funct. I think this actually, yeah, this actually calls out to a Go program I wrote that tries to format LaTeX tables. I mean, if you're really interested in that, you can find it on my GitHub. Split window toggle. Toggle between horizontal and vertical split. So I found out that you can actually do this with evil mode, and that's all I use now. So in Vim, you can hit Control W and then Shift K, or Control W Shift H to move it back. Or actually, I mean, you can even move things left and right with Control W, H and L, and you can move things up and down with Control W, Shift J, Shift K, like that. So don't actually need this anymore. And then, unlike this, it actually does work with multiple windows. Yeah, paste rectangle is kind of the opposite of paste flat. But I can like select a rectangle of text from somewhere else and then paste it as a rectangle. So that's quite handy as well. So I think that's all for my utilities. Let's go back to init. Keyboard macros. Useful keyboard macros that I wanted to save. Yeah, so these are... So, okay, unlike Vim macros, in Emacs macros, you can actually like record one. Actually, I probably recorded these as, you know, like Vim macros. And maybe you can do this in Vim proper, I'm not sure. But anyway, if you have a macro in Emacs, you can actually export it in this kind of form. So I don't remember the command for it, but there's a command to dump out your macro. And then you can actually save it like this as a function. So this, yeah, join copy. This joins a paragraph. So VIP, that visually selects in a paragraph, joins all the lines, yanks the line, and then undoes it so to restore it. And then this Fortran may continue. So this probably isn't even worth explaining, but basically in old Fortran, I guess in Fortran in general, you can have labels. So let's say I'm going to have like do 10, I don't know, some stuff. And then down here you have like continue. Let's say I can have like multiple like nested loops, right? And these can all share the same continue. So with what this does, or no, I think you can have just like other stuff. So it's just some kind of label basically. And I want to have like an actual continue, because then the continues can like match up and then they nest properly. Otherwise, if you do this, Emacs will keep this stuff indented. Let's see. So this should be like that. Emacs will keep this indented to the same level, I think, as this. Maybe keeps it... Okay, I guess all of this should be indented. Yeah, it will keep everything after this indented because it thinks that this only closes this. But you can actually share the same label between them. I don't know, it's really weird. So when I was refactoring a lot of Fortran code, I added this so it would actually add like an explicit continue for those labels, for the label at point. So those are the keyboard macros. LaTeX table. So this is nice. I actually already have this separated out into a file. So I think this would be a decent little package as well. This is basically that org edit table remote I was talking about before. So this is finding the table start, find table end. This converts from a LaTeX table to an org mode style table. Same thing in reverse, org back to tech. this is what you do. Yeah, convert new buff back from org mode to LaTeX, replace the table, and kill new buff. So again, this is very much like in org mode when you can edit a source code block remotely. Basically, this is editing LaTeX tables remotely as if they were org mode tables. Very handy. I use it a lot. I don't really have a good LaTeX file to show it on right now. Well, actually, wait. I actually have a table hybrid. No, I must have cleared my desktop earlier. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, I would say. Yeah, okay, actually, hold on. Review. So let's say you have a LaTeX table like this. You hit Control C, single quote. You can see my awful color scheme. But if I do something like this, see, I can move the table, just move the table around, and it converts it back into LaTeX. I definitely want to undo that and kill that. But hopefully that gives you just some flavor for what LaTeX table is doing. Now, for some reason, I have this bound function. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is for open term here. So if I do pwd, you'll see that I'm in home brand configs.emacs.d. All right, get ready. This is going to be bright. If I open a terminal, you see I'm in my home directory. But if I use my Control-C V binding, it opens a terminal in my default directory. So I really like that. Very handy. This replaced vterm for me. So I used to use the vterm package for having like a pretty nice terminal inside of Emacs. But as soon as I came up with this key binding, I just spawned an external terminal. Okay, so at least nominally we're into the key binding sections of the config. So you'll see some of these shouldn't really be global configs, but what can you do? Control CB, Vertigo BibTeX. This, dured jump, so that opens dured in the current directory. Very useful. Control X, Control B, I have bound to switch to buffer other window. So if I wanted to open my scratch buffer in the other window, I just do that. This is for Emacs Calc. 12 factorial, fun stuff like that. Control C G I use for grep. Control C Shift G I use for rgrep, recursive grep built into Emacs. Again, like I've been saying, Control C I menu. This is for storing org links. Also org insert link global if I want that. I don't know what that comment means. I don't really know what this is. Probably that's been commented out for a very long time. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can try to do my... Yeah, there's my horrible... I guess it's really not that horrible. So this is what this is what that program thing was doing, where it tries to come up with a nice buffer organization for programming. Okay, redisplay inline images. So clearly this should only be bound in org mode. Same thing with this. This should not only be bound in org mode, because this lets you store an org style link in any buffer. And then I can hop to my to-do list, for example, and paste that link in. This is nice, but it can be a little bit annoying, which is why I had to add this second key binding to actually turn off fly spell mode. If you accidentally hit Control-CS and fly spell a programming buffer, for example. This opens my org agenda. We've seen that. Control-C-Ws for opening man pages. Emacs client. And then... yeah, we saw earlier that I bound Shift-P to org next section. It's pretty nice to just move through man pages quickly. Org capture. This is what I was just talking about. Open term here. Open library PDF. This is nice. Yeah, prompt for a file to open. Defaulting to the word at point. Yeah, pretty handy. So I can do I actually have a DWM binding for this, but to stay within Emacs, I can do Control C Z, and I can open one of my own papers like that. Yeah, current word, open paper. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, it actually uses Zapple. So apparently I still use that. There's actual binding. Yeah, this has been commented out for a long time. I bind Control X capital O to go to the left, because usually Control X O goes to the next buffer, so I go to the previous buffer. Oh, I didn't actually know that I had this bound. Scratch? Okay, yeah, I didn't know that was bound. That's pretty handy. I might use that more often. So this is actually for you guys. So just like we saw earlier where I had the like mu4e thing set up to check a variable. So I have this global variable to say whether or not Emacs is in the configuration for making videos. So when I set up to make a video, I make the font much larger and I load Tango Dark, and then I set that to T. And then otherwise, again, this is going to be bright, but we'll try it out. If I run BRW toggle recording style, this is what it looks like when I'm using Emacs most of the time. Although this is really growing on me. I really did used to love Tango Dark before I switched to a light theme. So here's some compilation config. I have scroll output turned off by default, but I also have this toggle scroll compilation interactive function, so I can turn it on and off easily. And then I have compilation always kill set to T, which is a little bit dangerous if you run like long running compilations. But this basically means if I hit recompile, it doesn't prompt me and be like, are you sure you want to kill the compilation? Yep, globally I set recompile to F5 or Control C5. And then, yeah, this is a variable holding the last compilation status. And, okay, setQ compilation exit message function. I set it to my function right here, which sends a, it sends a notification. So, no, I've never actually gotten it to ding. I don't think. Can we? Let's try to eval. Yeah, okay, the bell doesn't work because I have it set to ignore. But yes, I can use the alert package to send a compilation finish notification. You guys have probably seen that before in some of my videos. And then I have compile toggle notif to turn that off. For some reason, I stopped putting new lines in here. Everything's like stuck together. But yeah, so I turn this on. I can toggle it. Mouse 8. Mouse delete window. I do not remember what this is. I think this is one of my thumb buttons, maybe. Yeah, win or undo. That's my only guess. I kind of forgot I had those bound. Emacs Lisp hook, Control C, Control B, eval buffer. Tech mode hook, I add F6 for tech font. Control C6, we've seen that a lot. Again, that's my small keyboard stuff. Okay, white space. I show trailing white space. So you'll see it turns red. And that's because I just like to, keep that clutter out of my files. Show trailing white space. Yeah, so this toggles the value. And these are some of the modes where I've disabled showing trailing white space. Yeah. Because it looks pretty ridiculous in some of these modes to have those big red boxes on the end of the line. And you'll see I'm using this add mode hook suffix thing again. Finally, some miscellaneous settings. This is just adding, adding the old Fortran version of enter to my path. I actually don't need this anymore. This probably is not even, I don't think this path is even valid on this computer. This sets my background, my region color. Okay, I guess that's my no theme region color probably. Uh, I have this up here, so I guess I can delete that. And then I make this. Maybe I should delete the other one. Yeah, we'll delete this one. That way the comment still makes sense. I guess this makes revert mode apply to Durad. Okay, this is just an interactive function for toggling the value of a variable. So this is instead of defining one of each of these, like toggle compile notif, I can just do toggle variable and then like compile follow. But the real problem is that I always forget, or is it compilation follow? Yeah, I don't know. I always forget the name of some of these variables. That's a real problem here. But yeah, this is a more general toggle variable function. Okay, we got 2 blank lines here for some reason. And this is my mode line setup. So I guess eval. So we got ynum down here. Mode line. Yeah, we got a little front space. We've got mode stuff. Modified. Oh, this is modified. Okay, so this must be client. What's this? End of line style. Mule, client, modified, remote, display. We've got some little width here. Okay, and yeah, this is where I put my snake emoji and my conda environment name when that's defined. Then I've got frame identification somewhere, buffer identification. I don't know what this is. Yeah, this is we've got the column number, evil mode, line tag. I think that's what this is. VC mode, mode name, and then we've got some miscellaneous stuff over here. That's not really showing anything. Oh, maybe this lexical mode. Not sure. Yeah, so this, I find it kind of hard to read this, definitely. I mean, as you could just tell. But it's kind of fun to customize your own mode line. Okay, I've got this bound up above. And I've actually got this bound before I required DuradX. So, fortunately that works. Wow, I did not know that there was so much duplication in my config file. I'm glad I did this. I need to do some reorganization for sure. Yeah, Durad jump. I have this minus binding to go up a directory in Durad. And I undisable narrow to region. So this is really handy, actually. I use this a lot more than folding. So you can do Control X in, that narrows to region. And then you can widen it back. But I think this command is confusing probably to new people, so they have it disabled by default. Log async compilation warnings, but don't keep popping up the warnings buffer. Yeah, so this just tries to quiet down some of the compilation warnings. Put LaTeX narrow to environment. Yeah, same thing here. So probably if you've ever accidentally hit some of these bindings, you'll see messages like, oh, you've tried to activate this thing that's disabled by default. If you'd like to enable it, put this in your config. Yeah, and then this is for my new workplace. So we use, oh, the shame of showing this on stream, but we use some proprietary software. And so this is the license for the software, so I have to load that. But I don't want to load it by default. I make it painful for myself every time I want to use proprietary software. So I have to run this to interactively load the license variable. And then I also have to do like a daily check-in post in Slack. But I keep track of my to-dos in org mode, as I keep saying. So I basically just do this little string manipulation to turn my org mode stuff into a Slack message, essentially. And yeah, then kill your region. Okay, and then, as was covered in my Python video, I use this conda package. ensure T config. Yeah, pretty much I showed exactly this in there. I think there are some other files in here. Calc. That's pretty cool. I guess I tried adding a custom calc function, but I'm not sure if I've ever used that since then. Go LSP utils. Yeah, so clearly I don't even use this stuff anymore. Oh boy. Get name child. This was okay. I was trying to use tree sitter. Yeah. Not the native tree sitter. This was the Emacs tree sitter package before any of the native tree sit stuff. I was trying to use this to write tests automatically. Generate the skeleton for a test of the function at point in current file name _ test.go. Yeah, so I was trying to like use the args for snippet fields. Yeah. So this is basically what I was trying to do. I was just trying to generate tests, and it never worked very well. I wasn't very good at using the tree sitter documentation. I was trying my best, but this never really panned out. And despite what you may think, I don't actually spend that much time on my configs. So I probably spent a few hours on that and eventually gave up. Yeah. Because even though I'm willing to spend time to get a setup really nice, I'm not going to spend like an indefinite amount of time. So, like, all right, I'll go back to writing my test myself. This is the only other thing I was actually looking for. So this is where I actually have my, my statistics package. Yeah, we got the arithmetic mean. This is why I was surprised to find that other mean and average function. Because, like, okay, I know I've got stats mean, but I don't actually load this anywhere. So I have to, like, load this manually if I ever want to use it. So this is the difference for a list, the max, absolute difference. Yeah. Square. Classic. This is a classic list, like, little scheme function. Stats, size, square root of the sum of square components. Okay, RMSD. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. That was cool. Just under 3 hours. Thanks again to all 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate all of you, all of your comments. Here's to another 1,000, hopefully. Hopefully you guys get some use out of it. Drop your comments, your questions down below. And other than that, this is a long video. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks if you made it this far. See ya.